Hello, how are you doing, folks? Can you hear me well? Hope you are doing well. It okay in terms of sound? All good? Bonjour, Bouiton. Thank you, Cyprian. Thank you, Yuda. Thank you. And massive congratulations to the mentees, especially. Yeah, Glare from the Lamp. I'm on my Nomad setup right now. So sorry for the background and such. It's the one I had before moving to my own place. Node.js. All right, let me switch up the webcam. Let's get started. I have roughly 2 hours. Then I have to go grab the cat at the vet. Got his little neutering done today. And, he's currently waking up. Let's go. So apparently it seems that we scored pretty well on the rookies. We got the results. For Concept Art School, all around, we are number 5 worldwide, and we are the first one of the list with a 100% online program. So that's freaking tastic. As I said on social media, on Discord, it's still very difficult to process the information. I do not really fathom what it means. But massive congratulations to everyone, especially the mentees. You are the ones who did a lot of work and who made that possible. And I'm extremely proud of that. I wanted to make that video. It's a bit of an impromptu one. To kind of reflect upon how we arrived there. Because it's been 2 years that we have been launching the Artnest. It went pretty big, pretty fast. And I wanted to do that video also a bit for me, just to process everything that happened in 2 years. And explain how we got there. And explain to you folks the behind the scene. What we built, what worked, what didn't. And how we arrived there and what we are planning for the future. Spoiler alert, the future is bright. Oh, hello, Elena and Yanis. Hello. Elena, hope you received your little letter, by the way. So, let's get started. I have a lot of points. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about, but I really wanted to explain what was the inception of the Artnest, why I created it, how I created it, what were the reflections I had when building it, and what was the vision and how it panned out. And by the end of the video, we'll be able to define and determine if it panned out well. I think it did. Is it perfect? No. But is it pretty good? I think the results speak for themselves, and I'm pretty happy about that. So it's kind of baffling because, as I was saying in my post, we are just next to the big schools. So, of course, number 1, UH. Number 2, the One Academy. Never heard about that one, so I'm going to do some research about that school in Malaysia. It seems very good. Number 3, Outside. No surprise. Number 4, Art Center. We are just behind them. So it's crazy to me because we are not even an art school. We are not offering a full curriculum from start to finish. We are doing a mentorship with some follow-up, but still we are a mentorship. And we are competing with those schools for a fraction of the price and a fraction of the time invested. So I don't want to push too much that narrative because it's kind of comparing an apple to an orange, rather an apple to a pear. It's somewhat similar, but there are some differences. And I want to make that video to explain the similarities, the differences, and where we position ourselves. And for people who might potentially consider the mentorship, you will find a lot of answers there. It's not to sell the mentorship, it's rather to expose the good, the bad, the ugly, and the nice. And also for potential people, either if you are running a school or if you are running a mentorship, I'm pretty sure it's going to give you a lot of reflections on how to make a good product in the artistic field, in the education realm. Because that's what started the Artnest initially. It was a lot of pain points. And the first thing that I didn't like is in the overall state of the market, I was very disappointed as a student. My experience was terrible. I explained that several times. It was bad with teacher wanting me to quit. As a teacher, except when I was teaching at New Edge, it was very disappointing also because you feel restricted, and the more you give to students, the more some schools are unhappy because you quote unquote antagonize the clients. And I'm like, wait, they are just working autonomously. Let's discuss about the industry. It's not my problem if they realize that the school is shit. While I'm just showing them the standard of the industry. I'm never bashing schools, at least when I'm teaching. There's no interest in doing that. It's unprofessional. But if they realize that the program you provide to them is subpar compared to what the industry expects, that's a you problem. And my biggest issue was a complete absence of the business part in the education in the art industry. Art school barely teach the business aspect at any education level. The Discord link has run out of time. Okay, I'm going to set it up otherwise. Thank you, JHH. So nobody talks about the business part. Everyone focuses so much on art and technique and the fancy gimmicks and rendering and making flashy pictures. And then everyone crashes on the doors of the industry. And I was like, okay, I get the point. We are artists. We are, on bubble. We're a bit special, but it's still a mega big business. At least the video game industry is dealing with hundreds of billions of dollars per year. It's a massive industry. It's the biggest cultural industry in the world. You can certainly be sure that there would be some business rules applying there. Why is nobody talking about it? And I was so shocked to see that even some professionals, especially right now with the layoffs, that's one observation that really sparked my desire to build that mentorship the way it is. Even in 2020, or even when I started in 2016, it was already like that. You were seeing a lot of pros, including a lot of teachers in school, who got hired. They got some sort of a career, more or less big, but they never took the time to reflect upon what got them hired so they can isolate that point and replicate it reliably. And it was impossible for them to explain what got them hired, and let alone give that to the student and teach it to people. So I was seeing a gap right there. And let alone explain the hiring process, etc. And today, with a lot of pros being laid off, they don't know what to do to get hired again. And I'm currently working on a little package for professional artists who got laid off, like a guide on what to do. It's going to be released probably by the end of the year, hopefully. But I want to make that because so many artists, they fall into despair and they don't know what to do. And they place their attention and effort where it doesn't really matter. So the approach I wanted for the Artnest was to talk about the other half of the job, which is the non-artistic part, but the business part. And the problem is that artists, they are not very good at business generally. They are not very interested in that at all. So the problematic was, how do you create a business course and make it accessible and understandable for artists, and how do you transpose it in artistic terms, aka the portfolio? We're going to see that later. So the Artnest mantra was, art is good, but it's only 50% or even less of the job. What really matters is, especially today, is your artist's ability to be profitable and make money to studios. Studios, they don't hire you for fancy drawing. They hire you because your fancy drawing makes them money. It's the sad reality. I know there is a lot of political debate. I know everything is political on the internet, and I don't want to jump into that debate. But overall, when I see it on LinkedIn, there's a lot of that narrative, even from artists, that like, okay, anti-capitalism, profit is bad, corporate greed, etc. I can understand the point of view, but let's stay pragmatic for a second. I've already explained that in past lives, but if a company doesn't make profit, there will be layoff. I know that some people can meme like, oh, even when they make profit, they make layoff. Yeah, but it's to maximize the profitability. If you are not profitable, you are a liability to the studio. And whether we like it or not, whether we are for or against capitalism, doesn't matter. It's the current state of the meta. And we have to play with the winning strategy. Because there's no guarantee that it's going to change. And there's not that much in our control that is going to change. I know a lot of people want to be like, yeah, let's unionize, etc. Sure, but in the meantime, what do you do? And I want to remain pragmatic, and I'm sorry if I'm sounding a bit like an insensitive asshole right now, but I don't want to let people gamble on the collective and things outside of their control overall. So it's this kind of non-bullshit approach. Let's see things for what they are, not what we would like them to be. And let's see how we can deal with it. You can do both, yeah. But let's focus on things in your control, actually. So to me, it was absolutely essential to, as you say, Trojan Horse, take agency, understand the current system, and understand that companies are driven by profit, and your portfolio needs to show the ability to be profitable as a person. So the goal was to position the Artnest strategically. There's a million tutorials, there's a million mentorships, there's a million schools about technique. Nobody talks about the business part. I know that Brainstorm did a course about the business part of it. I think it didn't work very well, especially because it was part 1. There was a supposedly part 2, which is something I'm going to talk about later. But doing extensive research, this was the only other course that was remotely talking about business. And I don't even know if it's still there. But everyone talks about technique. So there was a massive gap in the market for this education. So let's focus on the business aspect made accessible to artists. So this was the initial premise for the Artnest. And at the moment I built the mentorship, always there has been that guy called Alex Hormozi, big entrepreneur. I mentioned him several times. You might have seen his face on social media because he's very viral. He's released 3 books from now, the 100 million offer, 100 million leads, and 100 million money models. And it's kind of funny because his books always got released at the moment I needed them the most to build the Artnest. The 100 million offer, it was back in 2021 when I was planning the first V1 version of the mentorship. And I was like, okay, I have an idea, but how do I pack it to increase the value delivered? The second one, the leads, it was in 2023. Just when I launched the mentorship, it was like, okay, how do I market that shit? And the next one that got released a few months ago this summer is the money models. Like, how do you build an ecosystem? And this is the problematic I'm into right now. So thank you, Alex Hormozi. I have a bit of a weird relationship with his work. I'm very grateful. And I really like his book. And that's something I joke about often with the mentees. The title of that book is How to Make Offers So Good People Feel Stupid Saying No. I'm often saying how to make a portfolio so good studio feels stupid saying no. That's a bit the mantra of the mentorship. And that idea of stupidly ticking the boxes in a very forward way. So eventually they have no way but to abdicate and at least give you a shot. Of course, then you have interviews, you have concurrence, etc. But at least on the portfolio level, it's foundationally good. That book is about creating a banger offer. This book is so good that it created also an army of scammer, unfortunately. That's the power of that book. But that's the price of success, I guess. So the goal of that book was to create an absolutely golden offer. And when I got that book, I sat for a long time with some people around me. And we were like, okay, we have that chassis for the Artnest, or do we make it like 10 times more valuable? So very, very good. The first thing was to have a clear idea of the transformation we wanted and we want to achieve. So this is basically the before and after we want to see in the successful people. So let's assess the initial situation of the public. And initially it was okay, artists close to junior level. Now it kind of got more and more precise over time. And we identified 3 types of profiles that are suited for the mentorship. One, self-taught artists who are pretty good technique-wise, are close to getting a job, but for whatever reason, they cannot get one, and they are missing a little something that they don't know what it's about. Number 2, students who graduated or quit school. They got disappointed with education results, and they want employment, and they want to finish the education that the school failed to deliver to them. And pros, get more and more of those. Pros already working, sometimes in small studios, sometimes in big studio, wanting to move their career forward, increase their price, and not be one layoff away from being jobless. The goal was to pick those 3 people and build a system and build a program that could work for all of them universally. The desired outcome for each of them is to find work and become autonomous, being capable of crafting production-friendly work, being validated by studios, and know how to prospect, get recommended, pass interview, get jobs, and eventually build options to not be one layoff away from being jobless. So that's the delivered outcome, and it works for both self-taught artists, graduate students, and pros. Of course, it needs work. Without work from the student, there's no way to achieve that. Let's be transparent about that. If anyone tells you, hey, buy my shit and get instant result, they're probably lying to you. You need work, especially when it involves building a portfolio, and it takes a lot of time. We're going to talk about that later. Now, the problematic was about increasing the value delivered. And there are several ways. I think I talked already about the value equation from Alex Hormozi. So desired outcome times certainty of getting it, divided by time and effort necessitated doing that, and effort and sacrifice. So the first method was to increase the desire to motivate people to work even harder. So the way we did it was to constantly expose students to successful alumni in the community, to share student work extensively to celebrate success. That's why I'm sharing the work of people all the time. To show them it's possible. Again, a lot of artists, they lack confidence. We have a lot of imposter syndrome and psychological issue in the art industry. We're going to talk about that a bit later. And it's important to expose them to people who are just like them, if not worse, who succeeded, who leveled up, to show them, hey, if that person who is no better than you managed to do that with the sheer amount of work, sweat, and a bit of tears, you too can do it with the same amount of work. There's not a secret formula. There's no hacks. There's not that idea of anyone needs to be gifted. There's also hard work that beats talent. And we want to show that by showcasing the work of students. That's why I'm very aggressive at sharing their work all the time. It's both to promote the person who did that, to do promotion that, of course, the artness works, and also to show to everyone, hey, that person was just like you and managed to do that. So you can do it too. It builds some sort of identity. If this person succeeded, I can too. It's very important to have this kind of beliefs. I know it sounds woo-woo, rule of attraction type of bullshit, but it's important long-term because motivation will fade. As soon as you see hardship, motivation is challenged and motivation will fade if you do not have ways to kindle that. I've seen it in art school when every teacher tried to demoralize me and get me to quit, and I didn't want it to replicate that thing. Boosting confidence is mega important. We wanted to increase the certainty. Again, with the testimonial, the proven result, the before and after, it also shows it's possible, okay? And we also wanted to implement a strong follow-up system because what I absolutely hate in a lot of mentorships, I might be a bit biased right there and I'm not clashing mentorships because most of the time it's not part of their promise. But there's always artists telling themselves the story. I'm going to do that mentorship from that famous artist who worked on that famous project, showcasing how they did their work on that famous project. So I can also work on that famous project. They are not saying it. The mentors are not saying it, but mentees and people that are buying those things tell themselves that narrative. insert it for any fancy tutorial from fancy artists. That artist work on Star Wars and is showcasing how to work on Star Wars. I can too work on Star Wars. No. It's not like that. And the problem is that at the end of a lot of mentorship, congrats, you made a picture you're proud of, you have learned a gimmick or a new software. Now you're on your own, and voila. That's the end. To me, it looks very irresponsible to let people build an entire mentorship. Again, it's between 400 to 600 hours of works, let's be honest. So it's a lot of time. It's 10 hours per week for a year. It would be absolutely irresponsible to let them on their own build that, because there are so many ways you can fuck up a portfolio or steer away from the initial vision of it. So this is why I wanted to implement a strong follow-up system where we work with you on your portfolio until it's done. The only requirement that I wanted to implement and that I implemented recently, before that, it was like work with you for as long as you need. It turned out to be a bit counterproductive. It was a fake good idea because a lot of people start taking it for granted and they start finding excuse to get feedback, and eventually they slack for months and they vanish and their motivation drops and it's not good. So we changed that requirement recently, and it's been only a class and a half that we see that, and already the results are absolutely skyrocketing in terms of productivity. Even mentees who are not subject to that because they signed up for the previous one before it was established, it boosted their productivity. So now the only requirement we have is we work with you for as long as you need. The only thing we expect from you to benefit from that is that you build your portfolio in less than a year. It's to filter out motivated people from non-motivated people. And that's something we saw in the past because it was quote-unquote unconditional. A lot of people were taking it for granted, vanish for like 6 months and come back with like 3 hours worth of update on their portfolio and say, hey team, I'm still motivated. You might say you are, but your actions do not say you are motivated. Because if you were motivated, if it was a priority for you, what have you done in the last 6 months? I know that something can happen in life. I know that accidents happen. And I'm totally fine when mentees are transparent about that. We got that several times. But someone who vanishes, do not give an update, then say, hey, I'm still motivated with 3 hours of update and there's no other justification. I'm like, those actions are not telling me it's the priority right now. That's okay. There's no judgment. But we cannot afford to put the whole infrastructure in danger with people who aim at getting a job in like 10 years. In my opinion, if it didn't work in a year, for someone who worked, adding 3 more years would not change that much. Because generally we get 2 types of profile. People who get their portfolio done fast. And you don't need to do the full portfolio. That's a spoiler. 2 chapters, maybe 3 tends to be enough. I did some case studies recently with some pros. Unli, Evan McKenzie, and Stefan. They did all. Un did 3 chapters. That's the only exception. Stefan did 1 chapter, got hired. Evan 1 chapter, got hired at West Studio the next day. So you don't even have to do the full portfolio. And most people, the motivated mentees, they get a sizable enough portfolio fast. Let's say 6 months. And some people after a year who are not motivated, they get a quarter of a chapter of a portfolio done. And in that situation, I'm like, what's the point? It was definitely not the priority. You had a year. I don't know what to do. For people with a higher skill level, it's easier because of the skill level. Yes, and we're going to talk about that just after Trojan Horse. Very important. Next, increase speed. When your portfolio deadline is going to increase speed. And as I said, the result exploded. Next, increase the ease. So reduce the effort. Of course, we cannot do the portfolio for you. So we cannot, I cannot carry the ring for you, but I can carry you. That's a bit the mentality, you know? So let's remove all the friction around building the portfolio. Let's have some template. Let's have some checklist. Let's have some case studies so people know exactly what to do at any step of the process. Let's get them to have follow-up and mentors, as I was telling you. And let's give them the exact path so they do not waste time. And let's also teach them to self-diagnose their work so they can be autonomous. Very important. Next, reduce the sacrifice. So again, template and process and removing the friction at every step. So this is very effort and sacrifice is the same thing. 6, reduce the risk. That's where you have to be very careful, whether you are a school, an online business, a mentorship, a coach, or whatever. Reducing the risk is always the trickiest part. So there are 2 ways of doing that. One that I think is bad, and one that I think is the lesser evil, let's say. The one that is bad is saying, buy my shit and get results 100% guaranteed. Maybe in terms of copywriting, you might find a way to say that. Legally, you're going to expose yourself to trouble, so you need to have disclaimers. And the problem, especially in long-term things, if you are doing a service for them, let's say, go visit the garage, get your car repaired within 48 hours. Guaranteed. Okay, that's easy because someone is doing the work for you. When you are in a mentorship system, you are in a done with you system where the mentee, aka the person buying the service, has to provide some work. They have to invest their money, they have to invest their time, they have to invest their effort. And the big problem, whether you are a school, a mentor, a coach, in a boot camp, in any educational system, there is one and only one thing that you cannot control ever. It's the motivation of people. So if you cannot control that, you need to be aware that some people will drop out inevitably. And it's your duty to make sure to understand why they drop out, see if you can get them back. And that's the most you can do. To me, the second alternative is to filter and test motivation before recruitment. Just like in the army, just like in elite school, just like they do at New Edge or Art Center or FZD, they test motivation. They are not taking anyone willing to pay in. They are testing the level, they are testing the psychology, they are testing the ability of someone to be coached. And it's extremely important to me because otherwise you are in that system where you will be willing to take any dum-dum willing to pay and you end up with a shit ecosystem. And that's how we have seen a lot of infopreneurs in other fields than just art release product, make 200, 300K a month thanks to that because they take absolutely everyone. The product is dog shit. Nobody gets results. And then the people get exposed as scammers because the product was shit. And the problem, was it the product or was it because they badly filtered people? It's called the client avatar and you need to respect the client avatar. Full disclosure, at the Artnest, we are receiving between 15 to 40 demands for a call per week. I'm taking between 3 to 6 people on average per week maximum. So that's already a massive filtering. And then I'm still refusing roughly 40% of people who will be eligible, who are willing to pay, but for whatever reason, it doesn't match in the call. So there's a lot of quote-unquote money and potential clients being left on the table right there. But it seems important to me to remain extremely elitist and to pick the best of the best. It's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be people able to sneak through the filtering system. Maybe they fooled you during the interview. Maybe something happened afterward that changes their motivation or a sense of priority. That's okay. But if you can minimize that, you have done your part. And you need to put disclaimers. Are you aware that it takes work? Are you aware that it takes time to make a portfolio? That's why everyone who gets into a call, there's always the same question. Do you have a deadline? And are you aware that making a portfolio takes time? If the deadline is too short, let's say they want a job by the end of the year, I'm like, probably not for you. If the deadline is like in 5 years, I'm like, hey, it needs to be more tangible. Very important. So it's the student responsibility for their own motivation. And that's why in the V2.5 of the mentorship, we put a lot, and I mean a lot of videos explaining that to the mentees, like be aware of your own motivation. If it drops, ask yourself why. If there is a psychological issue that comes in the process, go see someone because it's going to benefit you in your life and in your productivity and indirectly in your career. So it's very important to assess that risk through transparency by having those disclaimers. So you may prove the method works for students, but it requires efforts and you need to be transparent about that. It's going to create a lot of friction. It's going to leave a lot of money on the table on the business standpoint, and a lot of mentors that I've seen in the industry, and even more, a crap ton of shitty schools. Again, they are willing to take anyone willing to pay. And that's why they have such a massive drop rate, and that's why they are ranked badly on the rookies. Because the rookies is a median. Thank you, Twist of Fate. So it's important to be transparent. And in my opinion, it's important to always be quality above quantity. Money, success, fame, it's going to come later. But it's a long-term approach. If you pick anyone, you're going to make a lot of money soon, but the business is going to collapse very fast. I'm seeing all the time in Endora at the moment. Endora is the paradise for a lot of entrepreneurs. There are a lot of scammers too. And you see a lot of people running business, making tons of money for a few months, sometimes millions in a few months. And then the business collapses. They have to rebuild everything else from scratch. That is totally different. They make less money. It crashes again. And they are in panic mode because they make less and less money. And if you are stupid enough to build a product that is going to collapse because you are not thinking short term, you are also generally stupid enough to waste and spend all your money on expensive shit that you don't need. And the fact that you are making millions is not going to make you financially safe. And the school system in France is exactly like that. If you want to know more about that, read The Cube by Claire Marshall. She's showing you how a lot of big schools that belong to big financial groups use a template called The Cube to maximize profitability at the detriment of long-term viability for the schools. That's it. So the goal by creating friction is to filter out people and qualify people as much as you can. Okay, you are leaving money on the table, but at least you know that the people join the mentorship. First of all, they are willing to join. You did not put a gun on their head to purchase. You did not pressure them with shady techniques. And more importantly, you have the biggest amount of certainty you can possibly have. It's not 100%, but it's as high as it's going to get, that they are going to be more likely to follow through. Because it's a hard process. It's a very hard process. If art was easy, everyone would get a job. And then adding value. So the goal, again, to simplify, increase certainty, etc. So we are constantly patching the mentorship. Every year we make a big update. We made the 2.5 recently because it was not substantial enough to make a 3.0. And I don't think a 3.0 will ever exist. But that yearly update was still massive. So for example, December last year, some mentees were very good. They had great portfolio, but they didn't know how to send cover letters. I got a mentee to cry in a call because she was like, I don't know to write in those fucking stupid emails or cover letters. It's taking me 2 to 3 hours per letter and I'm losing my shit out of that. And okay, let's provide some templates. Because a templated email is still better than no email. You have two choices. Either you expect them to become copywriters. This is ludicrous. You're going to get them to burn out. Or else you find that kind of 80-20 rule to get them to get the result they want without the friction. I have no idea for my subject. Okay, we explain ideation process. We give you ideas. Right now, I'm building a list of the former student projects that are good if people want to build upon that. So let's say someone is doing stylized character on an IP. If the person is not doing stylized character, they can pick that IP and keep developing it. Are they even reading the cover letter interview? Probably not. But as I was saying in the video, Trojan Horse, a good cover letter or a good email is one where they click on the link to your portfolio and they see your portfolio. That's the only goal of a cover letter or an email. That's why the template is not that important. But at least if it can alleviate the friction, it was a worthwhile investment. No idea, we give you idea, I really have not idea, there's a list, etc. That's an example of all retro engineer problems. Tons of bonuses, portfolio template, case studies, checklist, all of that. We talked about that, and also the community. I cannot insist enough on how important the community is, and there's a reason why schools like Outside and especially New Edge succeed. It's because they foster the community aspect so much. The students from New Edge, they are sticking together for life. It's just like the militaries. You have been through so much challenges and pressure that you stick together for life. And they also foster that community thing. They have activities outside of school, even with the teachers, etc. And that's very important. So fostering the community was important to me because it's the first network for a lot of people. A lot of artists, they are on their own. They are feeling very lonely when building their portfolio. To me, it seems very important to get surrounded, because when you feel bad, if you are lonely, if you seclude yourself, you're going to drop out. Simple as that. Again, nobody talks about the loneliness and the isolation of artists. Yet everyone is. So that's the premises on which we built the mentorship. Now let's talk about the pedagogy. Our goal was to do the opposite of schools. As I told you, folks, I built the Art Nest out of frustration because I got disappointed as a student and I got even more disappointed as a teacher, seeing how scammy certain art schools were. I was talking about The Cube by Claire Marshall, but this is exactly that. They are trying to maximize monetization, and it's not the price of the mentorship, okay? At the moment I'm making the video, the mentorship is 3.4k euros. I know it's a sizable investment. Some schools, it's 12k a year for nothing, for a shit course. So, and people are willingly paying for that. So, some schools, they are not even in the top 100 worldwide. They are invoicing you 70k a year in the US. They are not even in the top 100. And the problem with school is that they maximize monetization. They try to keep you for the longest amount of time possible. Back in my day, sounding like a big grandpa right now, when I joined my art school, it was a 3-year bachelor. Now they added a mandatory preparatory year. That costs the same price, if not more. So congrats. You go from 3 years to 4. You increased your profit by 33%. That's massive. And it's mandatory for everyone, even people who go to game design. Game design, you don't have to draw, you don't have to be an artist, and still they make it mandatory. So that's a 4th year. And a lot of time, the way they do it is that you have the 3 years as a bachelor, and they're going to tell you, hey, you know what? If you pick the master's degree, it's going to be a career accelerating thing, and you're going to start directly as a senior or as an art director. And people fall for that bullshit. They waste 20 more G's, if not 30, and they waste, more importantly, 2 more years of their fucking life. And that's how you end up with 70k euros or dollar debt minimum. If you go to certain US school, that's what you pay per year or per semester in the US. So congrats, in the US, sometimes you have 300k worth of debt for a useless piece of shit of a degree. You wasted 5 to 6 years of your life. And this is so bad. This is so fucking bad. They are deliberately refraining from giving you the information you need to sell you a DLC later. It's the electronic artization of art education. The Activisionization of education. Our mantra was always only one product, done very well. I know we have the preparatory module, but it's just a fraction of the mentorship, so it still counts as one product. And it costs nothing compared to the mentorship, like $150, something like that. I'm going to release it again. It's just a little foot in the door in order to give people a resource, build trust, know that we provide value, they get value, and okay, trust is established, they get a lot of value, they know they're gonna get it more, and it teaches them what they miss to be eligible for the mentorship. So instead of selling a full year of prep year worth 10K, a little set of videos, $150, boom, you get it. So the goal was to be 100% online because it makes it accessible to anyone. It reduces the cost of infrastructure because we don't have any. And also, it reduces the fact of commuting because let's say you want to study in a big school in Paris. Okay, you have the tuition fees, but you have to move there. You have to get the visa. You have to pay that horrendously high rent in Paris, the cost of living there. So let's say you pay 30K for 2 years. You're going to pay probably an extra 20 to 30K for the rent, food, and cost of living there. So instead of costing you 30K, it costs you 60 minimum. So this is just on 2 years. Imagine on 6 now, how expensive it is. There's no way someone from like Brazil, Mexico, Thailand, something like that can afford that. It's ludicrous. So they're going to make a student loan. And if they have the bad luck to be in a bad school, they are crippled with debt for life. We don't want that. So the goal is 100% online to maximize accessibility. Anyone can follow it, reduces the cost. You can follow it at home. You don't have infrastructure to pay, so it doesn't reflect in the price. And the product is from A to Z. So you purchase it once. There's everything. There's all the updates. And the goal is to teach you everything. So at the end of it, you don't need us anymore. Literally, we teach you how to fish rather than fishing for you. And it's not just to cover the artistic point, it's to cover the professionalization, kind of sustainability. We could have made a product like, okay, once you get a job, what do you do to get the next one? No, we preferred to implement that in the full package. This way it's accessible to a pro or someone looking for their first job. We wanted the principles to be universal. So yeah, compared to something we can do in roughly a year maximum for a fraction of the price of an art school, I think we are pretty cheap, both in terms of time and money. I know it's an investment, but compared to getting 17K in debt, pick your poison, you know. Next, covering the pain point that nobody talked about. I wanted to cover the parts that are a bit taboo in the industry. We talked about the psychological and emotional problem. There's a lot of loneliness in isolation in artists. A lot of people put a one in the chat. If physically you have not that many people around you who are doing art, I'm going to lead the charge. I'm the only artist in Andorra. There's going to be a lot of ones in the chat. There we go. So it's not good. There's a bit of a lack of community and help to talk about that. The Artnest is made for that. Another problem is that there's too much information. There's too much information everywhere. Everyone is having their tutorial, their mentorship. You don't know where to filter the information and where to separate the good from the bad. So again, preparatory module covering all the design part, no bullshit approach. And the mentorship covering in an all-in-one solution the professionalization part as much as we can. This way, you don't have to search for anywhere else. And it's not going to be a mentorship where you will have to get all the tutorials unless you have to learn a new software, but it's very rare. You can play with your strengths. The business and prospecting problem, we talked about that. Nobody talks about it. So everyone online on LinkedIn, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. Everyone on LinkedIn complains about the job interview, the hiring process, the ATS. Oh my God, why they don't judge me for art? That's because you are in a fucking business. We are not in an art exhibition. It's not Reddit. It's a fucking business that makes billions of dollars. And the bigger the show, the more HR heavy it's going to be. The fact that we are an artist doesn't mean that reality and business does not apply to us. It's just applying to us in another way, but it still applies to us. So people complaining about interviews and resume, I know it sucks. I know it's horrendous. I know HRs are barely human people. They are like human interface to communicate with your studio. I know it's pissing off to be asked questions like, what would be your favorite animal and why? But there are reasons that they are filtering people, especially artists. I talked it in the dark ages of concept art. Artists there have been emotional bombs in studios. There have been a lot of drama surrounding creative. They want to make sure, they want to make absolutely sure that you are not going to be an emotional bomb that is going to detonate in the studio. It's very important. And again, some other problems. Excellent artists will try to send a simple email. Problem to solve, we ask a copywriter to write templates. Problem solved. The philosophy for the artist is every time there is a recurring problem, we find a solution. We complete the modules on prospecting. We collaborate with copywriters. We do customizable email. Pretty soon, probably by January, I would like to start doing interview simulation more and more, etc. Every time we are facing a roadblock, we build upon that, because every time there is a problem, okay, pay attention, everyone building a mentorship or building a class or building any product, every time there's a recurring problem, that's an opportunity for more value. You solve that problem, you bring more value to the table. I cannot even fathom how much value those simple email templates brought to the table. How much pain it removed to the artist applying. We've been talking about that for years now. Writing those fucking letters, even in the chat, there was Trojan Holt who was asking, are they even reading that shit? Doesn't matter. We have to send them. Those templates are meant to help. Interview simulation meant to help. Explain to you the negotiation process meant to help. Portfolio template, portfolio structure, homework template meant to help. The more we can remove friction, the less dropout we will have. Next, we are elitists and we are proud of it because it creates a virtuous circle. Again, online, especially in info products, you have two types of people, and I see a lot of those in Endora. You have those who are short-term minded and are willing to pick any dum-dum willing to pay. And you have those who are fucking elitists, leave money to the table, but know that long-term is gonna be an exponential. And it's gonna get results, and you're going to have opportunities and notoriety and social proof, and it's going to allow you to build upon that even better things. We wanted to be elitist. The mantra was to be a bit like New Age, like Harvard, like other big schools. And I know it sounds super pretentious to invoke those names. Whatever. Let me explain why you should always prioritize quality above quantity. You pick anyone willing to pay, you'll have a massive crash out percentile, no results, so no social proof, and a lot of angry people that are going to say that your product is dog shit. Congrats, your business is doomed to fail and die. Now, let's say you pick only the best. Because you are picky and you pick better people than the average, you're going to get better result than the average, which is going to give you better before and better marketing and things to communicate about than the average, which is going to be better social proof than the average, which is going to bring more people who wants to join than the average, which allows you to be even more elitist, to get even better people, to get even better results, to get even better marketing, to attract even more people, and you rinse and repeat exponentially. The level of the mentees we got from every class back to back to back has always gone up and never gone down. And I know it's going to be scary for the initial mentees who joined like in October 2023. Most of the people who join in 2023, they will probably not be allowed in today. That's fine. They got a lot of time to level up. Shout out to you, Axel. You are from September's class, for example. Jess was from June, for example. But a lot of people were allowed before because the bar got so higher now, they will not make it. And also, we attract more and more pros. Before, we had very little to no pros. Now, it makes up for between 30 to 40% of students that are in the mentorship. And it works totally fine. And what is also good, it's an indirect benefit, is that because some people who are not pros, who are looking for the first job, they are exposed to pros. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, because they spend a lot of time with them, they learn a lot from them also. And this is very good. You are a pro, you join the Artnest, you're fine. We're going to sort you out very fast if you are diligent and make your portfolio. Look at Stefan Thomas, look at Evan McKenzie, look at Nikita Gritson when he will release his first chapter. I think just one chapter will be enough to catapult his career. Look at Un. That's fine. Julie, same with you, Julie. Love your work to the core. When you're going to release that chapter, it's going to be so good. That's fine. But you're in a good position because you're going to be sorted out fast. But let's say you're not a pro, you manage to be allowed in the mentorship and you are exposed to those people, you are the ones getting the most value out of the mentorship out of everyone. Because you are exposed to people who know far more than you, will lead by example, and you will learn way more. Pretty good. Now, the next one that is very important, and again, anyone doing info product, teaching, whatever the domain, there's something that I fucking hate. And I notice it a lot since I'm in Andorra. We're going to make some business podcasts with a friend of mine in French, unfortunately, but we talked about that in a podcast already. There are so many people who are trend chaser. And in the info product business, we noticed it so much. Like a few years ago, it was drop shipping. Everyone was doing a drop shipping course. Then it was, let's say, Amazon MBA. Okay, everyone was doing Amazon affiliate MBA stuff. Then it was crypto. Then it was NFT. Then it was OnlyFans management. Then it's online casinos at the moment. And everyone is doing their little thing. It lasts 3 months. The entire market gets rinsed by an army of scammers who all have the same piece of shit of an offer. The market gains maturity, and everyone who made a bit of money with those piece of shit of programs, who felt they were smart, suddenly they go from making money to zero. They felt they were smart, they were not, they were just chasing a trend, and they don't know how to renew themselves. At best, they try to chase the next trend, but it's often too late. And most of the case, they come back with a hand in front of them, a hand behind them, completely naked from the rock under whose they came. And a lot of mentorships, a lot of tutorials, unfortunately, they do not stand the test of time. We have seen a lot of people removing tutorials recently that they had because they were old, that's fine. But some tutorials, let's say they are about a software. Let's say you made a tutorial about Blender 2.8. Compared to now, Blender 4 point something, there's the 5.0 being in beta at the moment. There's so much stuff that has evolved, so many plugins that have developed that it's barely the same software. And a lot of things you were to show in 2.8, sure, you could still use them in 4 point something, but there is so many better ways of doing it that it doesn't even make sense to keep releasing that tutorial, and people will inadvertently purchase it out of good faith. They will not get the full value and they will get lost. So any tutorial that is software sensitive, the problem is that you have to update them constantly. Right there, with the mentorship, we wanted to showcase universal knowledge, transferable to any level, to any profession, and to any technological change. So it works for your first job, it works for your dream job after 10 years of experience. It's reusable eternally through every step of your career. It works for any profession. It works for concept art. And the principle can be easily transposed to 3D, illustration, animation, VFX, any creative job, even graphic designer, and I would dare to say even accountant, video maker, any profession. It's literally, look at the business you want to enter, understand what they want, do the same. As simple as that. Transposed to art. Eventually, the Artnest will become a multi-mentorship platform where we will also mentor people for 3D, animation, VFX, other creative jobs, even potentially coding at some point. I'm currently working on finding mentors. It's not urgent, but it's going to come at some point. And when I look at the script of the mentorship, 90% is universal, and I probably need to change just 10%. Re-record 10%, and boom, we are ready to rock a mentorship for 3D. Pretty good. And the reason is because it's a business course. Week 1. Okay, let me explain to you the shenanigans of the mentorship. That's a joke I often do regarding generally around week 4 in the mentorship. It's like, congratulations, you are enrolled in a business course. You thought it was an art course. It's a business course. Haha. It's a joke, okay? But it's kind of serious at the same time. Week 1 of the mentorship, analyzing the studios you can aim at that are accessible, understanding what they want in terms of art direction and process. Week 2, comparing your work to the pros working there, and by the end of the week, you understand their process and you know what gaps you need to fill to match their level. Week 3, now that we have those information, we plan the portfolio to be relevant to the studios. Week 4, how to apply. Week 5, once you get a job, how to replicate that to the next step of your career. Okay, let's transpose that to business. Week 1, understanding your client and your target audience and what they want, what are their pain points, what they are struggling with, so you can build an offer with that. Week 2, comparing yourself to the concurrents to stand out and match their expectation, if not exceed them. Week 3, packing the offer that is so good that people feel stupid saying no. So it's relevant to their pain point and what they want. Week 4, how to sell your offer, which is prospecting, reaching out to people, selling it, negotiating, and closing the deal. Week 5, how to quote-unquote scale and stabilize your business. Congratulations, the Artnest is a business course. And resistant to technological change. Because we are not talking about technique, because we are not talking about softwares, and it's software agnostic, you can use whatever software you want, stay with your comfort zone. We don't need to update on that point. And even in the event of a major paradigm shift, let's be negative about that. Let's imagine AI becomes mainstream. It will be super easy to adopt the mentorship to make it work. Spoiler alert, I don't think AI in concept art is going to become mainstream. You just have to let a lot of studios figure out that it doesn't work, lose a lot of money, burn this thing for a lot, to realize, okay, it's going to create a lot of problems, let's not use that. Maybe for brainstorming, but that's it. If one day AI becomes that thing where you patch little, you put little patches on your head, you think, and it appears, and it's not sampling in the internet, but it's sampling in your own visual library. I mean, in that case, I'm like, okay, may the best creative mind win, and it's not going to be the AI bros. You're going to need the sensitivity, the human factor, etc. So even in the event of a major paradigm shift, we can adapt the mentorship in no time. Pretty good. Very anti-fragile right there. You want to read a book about that? Read a book called Anti-Fragile by Anti-Fragile by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. This book right there. I'm going to make a live one day about the books that I will recommend that are not artistic, but can be very useful for concept art. I wish they'd figure it out. Yeah, me too. But trend chasing. The AI bubble is going to crash out so fucking hard. We have all the signs that it's a crash out right now. If you own AI stock, I'm not a financial advisor. Let me revise that. If I was owning AI stock right now, I would sell it probably right now. Or will start selling at least right now. We are at the top of the bubble. Anyways, sixth, constant patching and continuous improvement. We talked about that. I talked about having a massive annual update based. So how do we do that update? For the entire year, I'm having notes that are open at every session. And every time there is something, I have to repeat myself. Every time there is something that is not understood by any mentee, I'm writing it. At the end of the year, I have thousands of notes. I'm sorting them out and I'm packing them in recurring themes. This literally exposes what is unclear in the mentorship, and we just patch the mentorship with that. Again, based off the book Anti-Fragile by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Every problem, every struggle, every time you have to repeat yourself, every time someone does not understand something, is an opportunity to improve. Did the notes of feedback from Concept 101 help you with the elaboration of new things? By the way, I need to grab them. But I have not fully read through them. Most of what I read confirmed already what was potentially missing, which has been patched in the 2.5. But I think it would be nice to talk a bit about that. Yeah. Or at least to re-centralize the notes. Another example on that is when we went to IAMAG in March. We got destroyed by Dardo Studio. They talked to us about the gameplay a lot. And basically, that's how we implemented that, and everyone got jobs afterwards. Everyone who apply that were having good portfolios, they got jobs after, like Axel, Jess, etc. when we implemented the gameplay. Bolt, what are the requirements to become a mentee? You are close to junior level or above it. You are coachable. And you have fundamentals. There's going to be something we're going to talk pretty soon. But regarding the fact of being elitist, that's also something that was non-negotiable. This is something that is very important to me. You have to know how to draw. Even when you do realistic stuff, even when you are working 3D, you have to know at least a bit how to draw. Because there's that pattern of people who only photo bash, only do 3D, mostly kit bash, who apply. The few times we got a few of them in the mentorship, they choked so fucking hard on the design part. And the reason I want people who can draw is because the fact of knowing how to draw proves you are able to endure the grind. And it's very important. If you are able to endure the grind to learn a difficult skill, you show predispositions to be able to learn how to design and how to fit production, which is also a very difficult skill to acquire. That's why we get more and more stylized people in the mentorship. It's because in stylized world, you cannot really bullshit your way with 3D and photo bash. There's not that much shortcut with stylized stuff. It was not planned that we become mostly known for stylized work, but that's the way it is. That's fine. We still have very good realistic people. But I just noticed that we have less realistic people now. We still have a few, but they are very exceptionally good. Looking, for example, at Jess, Sarah, who recently joined, very, very good. Nikita, of course. I can mention other people. Gael, Chloe, extremely good. I mean, you know the realistic people who are very good. And I'm becoming increasingly careful with realistic people. But if you are good, if you know how to draw, you're more than welcome. So, the 3 mantras of the Artnest. Number 1, everything we produce must be production friendly. Otherwise, it cannot be used in production and you do not show you understand what is required after concept art. This is how you show value. And to any professional watching at the stream, let's say you are a professional concept artist, you're struggling to find jobs right now. That's something I notice a lot on LinkedIn, is that concept artists looking for work, they show only the keyframe and the flashy pictures. Try this, okay? On your next 3 to 5 posts where you're looking for work, share, call out sheet, props, research, napkin sketches, problem solving, and production friendly stuff instead of keyframe stuff. I can guarantee that you're going to get in touch with people. Maybe not a job, but at least you're going to get noticed way more. And the reason being, you're going to just stand out because everyone puts their keyframe. Even that morning, I saw another artist was showcasing a moody keyframe, super dark with a cavern and such. I was like, this is beautiful, but there is little to no value in that picture. First of all, because it represents less than 5% of what is required in studios. Second of all, because dark nature is super easy to do. There's not that much design in it. And sincerely, AI can probably do a picture like that. I'm sorry to say that. Let's talk about AI for a second. Callout sheets, AI cannot do that for two reasons. One, there's not enough sample elements to sample from it and to learn from it. And two, it's very hard to understand. Keyframes, we have all of that on ArtStation. ArtStation has been sucked to the bone by AI. They trained AI to make those fucking keyframes because that's what it has been fed. I'm not saying that AI is replacing artists because it's lacking nuance, it's lacking the human level, it's lacking all the humanity. Do not get me to say what I did not say. But I'm just saying that showing only keyframe, you are potentially more endangered by AI than someone making callouts. You are more endangered by AI by the sheer fact that everyone else is doing the same pictures. So law of supply and demand, you are a commodity. You are easily replaceable. It gives you less leverage to negotiate your prices because whatever you do, there's probably someone in Malaysia or Pakistan doing the same for $50 a day instead of $400 a day. So why hiring you when they could replace you by someone 4 times cheaper? You're not standing out. You're not answering production, and you are aiming at 5 to 10% of what the market needs. Hello, Christina. You're doing well. So, of course, there are studios who want to do that. Goodbye, Kansas. Okay, they do a lot of keyframes. They are formed, they do a lot of keyframes. Okay, sure, fine. Have both, okay? I'm not saying one needs to replace entirely the other, but have both. And once you have done 1 or 2 keyframes, you don't have to make a zillion of them. They know you can do them. Okay? Very important. So to any pro, show that you are profitable to studios. I'm going to make a guide and probably a live for professionals. Okay? Maybe I'm going to do a webinar or something like that. We will see. We'll see. Yeah, of course, Ted. Of course. That's an argument I mentioned several times. Let's say you are in a studio. Be careful using that because you may lose the interview. Okay? But if they ask you about your opinion on AI, do not say, this is a piece of shit, I hate that, fuck those people, blah, 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 and spill outrage. Something you can say that is going to shut down any argument of you using AI is, I understand why it's alluring to producers and people who might not know art that much. It looks like a bunch of pictures produced very fast and it could replace a team of artists. However, if it may potentially look like it's going to save time on the concept art side, ask any 3D artist how they feel about turning an AI-generated picture into 3D, both for character or environment. You're going to notice that they have a lot of problems to fix. It's going to take them increasingly more time to fix. And the time you might save on the concept art side, you're going to lose it 2 to 3 times on the 3D side. So I get the allure of it. I understand how the promise might be sexy. But until AI fixes that problem, to me, it does not look very profitable in the full pipeline of production. That's the most diplomatic, production-oriented, and business-savvy and production-savvy answer you can give. You're not speeding vitriol. You're not putting bad feelings. You are seeing things at face value for what it is. Okay? I don't want to turn that live into an AI debate thing, but we can all agree about the bad parts, sampling is bad, etc. Okay, it's been 3 years that people are vomiting on LinkedIn about that. We get it. There's no point in rambling about it. But let's see things for what they are. And the goal here is to provide you with actionable things you can implement right now, folks. And that's an idea of an answer. It's not perfect the way I formulated that, so make it a bit more smooth than my French blunt, no bullshit way. But that's just an idea. So production friendly. Second, that is very important, entertainment and gameplay. We want some fun. The problem that I notice, and you start to see probably that we are a lot, and even those live, there are a lot about pattern seeking. and noticing patterns, and a lot about when everyone does one thing, do the opposite. And what do we see with most of artists' work is that, okay, the rendering is min-maxed. Okay, cool. But AI can almost do that already, the cool looking pictures. The storytelling tends to be very basic unless you are a mega illustrator like Maria Ponfilova, Taras Susak, people like that who are extremely good at storytelling. But most of the time, the storytelling can be summarized by two guys with guns enter the post-apocalyptic place. It sounds like a bad joke. And the storytelling is bad. Still, storytelling is not enough if it's not functional. So you have to make functional stuff, and already, right there, it filters out 90% of people. Designing a character that is rig-friendly, you filter out 90% of concept artists already. And now, if you talk about gameplay's opportunities, you are in the top 3% of artists. We saw so little people showcasing the gameplay, even from big art schools. And that's where we position ourselves, by the way, showcasing those, not showcasing, but observing the work of the other art school. As I said, we have students from New Edge who come to the mentorship. We have students from FZD who came to the mentorship. We have students from Art Center. We have students from outside who came to the mentorship. We know the strengths and the weaknesses of those schools. And one common point that most of those schools, if not all of them, have is that, okay, the rendering is nuclear levelly good, but the gameplay part is often overlooked. For example, when you look at FZD, every time I'm doing a review to anyone from FZD, if there are anyone from FZD with a mentee in the chat, I'm pretty sure you will be able to confirm in the chat. It's always the same problem. You know how to make call-out sheets. You know how to respect reference to the letter. The problem is that there's not that much gameplay. And the design, it's too close to the reference. There's just an example of a problem, of a pattern we've noticed with former FZD graduate. But oh my God, being able to make call-out sheets, you have done 90% of the work already. This is why we love working with former FZD students. Very important. New Age people, for example, they are super good in technique. They have the best technique we can ever get from students. There's no question about that. There's no way to change them, at least for now, given the sheer amount of resources that they give to the student and the crazy teachers, etc. But it's rare to see call-out sheets, for example. They still get jobs. Cool. That's fine. Through brute forcing, through technique and maturity, and the fact that they are pushing a big rhythm that studios know they can tank. But understanding production, that's a room for improvement that we have noticed, for example, from New Age. The school is still number one in the fucking world, okay? Don't get me wrong. But that's how we position ourselves. Okay? We position ourselves in what other schools are not doing, which is production-friendly, entertainment, and business. And it makes us complementary with them, which is very good. The deeper we're going into what needs to be learned, the fewer the people are willing to tackle that issue. Oh yeah, Cyprian, 100%. So this is super good that we are behind those four schools because we complement them. And that's how I think the Artnest is going to be positioned probably later, especially because now that we signed we signed the deal with the rookies. That's pretty cool. I think something that is going to happen is that we are going to see more and more pros, but also more and more students who graduated from schools. Their training is good but incomplete. And rather than paying 20K and spending 2 years of their life in a useless master's degree, they can just come to us for a fraction of the price and the time and finish the work. I think if I had a crystal ball, that would be the type of profile we're going to have the most in the next coming years. Because we propose an offer that is okay in investment, but way cheaper in terms of time and money than any school could provide. Plus it's online, and plus we teach the professionalization. So we can both help them finish their technique and most likely it's not that much the technique. The technique is leveling up. You have seen the level up from the student all the time. We don't even have to discuss about that anymore. But we are teaching them how to put the technique at the service of design and production-friendly stuff. And then we are teaching them what school do not really bother to teach, which is, okay, how do you apply? How do you get a fucking job? And this, none of the school, even the ones in the top 4, are teaching that as extensively as we do. Here we go. And it's good that we got those students because their strength has been our inspiration. I've never shied away from being heavily inspired by FZD. And their weaknesses, again, when there is a problem, there is value to be provided. There is a lot of value to be provided. Yeah, Trojan Horse, I'm working on that. You're going to love it. It's going to be a video game. It's going to be a video game. It's going to be super good and it's going to be maybe bi-weekly. And it's going to be cool. The way we're going to do it, just so people know, I would like to generate some list of questions and modifiers for interview simulation. We're going to have people, yeah, sure, Trojan Horse. Send me all the questions you got. It's some good examples. But the way we're going to do is that we're going to put students by teams of 2. One of them is going to be the interviewer. One of them is going to be the interviewee. The interviewer is going to have a sheet with questions that they just have to role play through. And they're going to have a set of modifiers that are going to alter the behavior of the interviewer. Maybe the interviewer is in a hurry and is cutting when someone is speaking. Maybe they are asking, they are looking nice, they are acting nice, but they are asking the most horrendously trap question possible. Things like that. We're going to assume it's going to be for whatever studio. Interviewee is going to be able to prepare that for maybe 10 minutes. Very quickly check the website of the studio, etc., to check the value and how to weaponize certain things. We role play the thing, and the interviewee record themselves to see their face and to see how they speak. Then we swap roles with another script. The interviewee becomes the interviewer and vice versa. They record, and then they both review together both recordings. And I can guarantee you that if you record yourself during an interview, do record only yourself, not the interviewer, because it's illegal to record someone without their authorization. Just record yourself. I can guarantee you that if you record yourself for interview and you watch the interview immediately after, first of all, you can piece out the interview with the question, even if they are not recorded. And I can guarantee you that you will see so many mistakes you have done. You acting weird, scratching your head when you're uncomfortable, blocking your nose, doing weird and ludicrous answers, etc. You're going to spot that. You're going to improve. That's an example of what we want to do pretty soon. Next, doing the opposite of trends. I thought about that a lot. Law of supply and demand. When something is trendy, when something is becoming mainstream and common, it has no value. See it with the movies. When everyone is doing Marvel shit, nobody wants Marvel shit. When everyone is doing a Last of Us 2 keyframe, how do you want to stand out with another Last of Us 2 keyframe? Pattern seeking. So what is trendy, common, and frequent? It's becoming a commodity. It has virtually no value anymore on the market. Cool-looking pictures, threatened by AI, maybe not replaced, but endangered by AI, not interested. Call-out sheets, standard drawing, very few people do it. We are known for that. It's a bit of a signature move, a bit like FZD at the time. It's cool. It's about pattern recognition. When everyone does one thing, ask yourself, those people doing all the same thing, are they getting jobs? If yes, do the same. If yes, but most likely it's no. And in that case, don't do it. All the pros who got jobs, look at what they do, check the patterns, and do the same. As simple as that. It creates a triple advantage. It allows us to stand out. We meet industry's expectations. And because AI cannot do those call-out sheets, we are not endangered by AI. For brainstorming, maybe some studios they are using that. But to produce stuff, we are safe. So 1 stone and we kill 50 birds with that. No, do not kill birds. I don't like that expression. Next, listening and friction resolution. So it's basically what we told. We are constantly collecting the struggles of the mentees and doing our best to address that. Will it be perfect? No, but we are doing our best. And let's get back to that example of writing cover letters. There are 2 ways of reacting to that. The first one is get good, become a copywriter. This is a bit the Whiplash teacher approach. If you have seen the movie Whiplash, that teacher is everything that you should not do if you want to stay in relationship with your students. You're going to get them very good, but because you only see them through potential, unfortunately, you dehumanize them and you are not paying attention to their personal struggles. If you are too cuddly and soothing, that's also another problem. So you need to find a balance. So the cruel approach would be like, get good. It's part of the job to know to write those letters. And I'm like, if it takes 1 hour to send 1 letter, how many letters can you send if you have 1 hour per day? Okay, 30. If you can send 5 to 10 letters a day with a semi-customizable template where the goal is only to click on the link of your portfolio, how many can you send a month? 150 to 300. Even if you have 50% less efficiency on those templated / customizable things, it's still infinitely more than just for the application. And it's going to remove the friction and the apprehension and the fear of doing that. You want to spark a habit to anyone, you have to make it easy. If every day you dread opening up Microsoft Word and send that letter, they are not going to stick to it. If they know it's doable, they know that all they have to do is copy paste certain things, they just customize the first line. It's way easier and they are more likely to stick to that habit. Okay? So templated email is better than no email. It's the 80-20 rule. How can we get the maximum amount of result for the minimum amount of effort? If it's done 80% as good as what you could do manually, it's 100% less work, okay? And the goal also is to foster autonomy for the mentees. We don't want to spoon feed them. We don't want to babysit them for months. We want them to become autonomous. So the first chapter, we're going to kind of spoon feed them. And then more and more, they're going to pick up the patterns. They're going to pick up the thing. And the second chapter is going to be way more autonomous. And the third one, if they have to do one, they barely need our feedback. We're going to give them, but they barely need it. That's also why it's kind of useless to expand the feedback forever. It's because at some point they don't need it anymore. Maybe just a quick checkup, and we're always open for a quick checkup. That's fine. It's not the military. It's not a factory. We are still humans. We just want to prevent abuse or prevent people who did not put in the work to keep on investing in not putting the work. Because at that point, it's becoming detrimental. It also guarantees better results. As I was saying, the goal is to build one product to rule them all included. I'm totally anti-DLC. One course, one product, we stick to it for as long as possible, and we are very good. I said that there's a preparatory module, but it's a fraction of the main product. And I say that we're going to put the mentorship eventually into other jobs, so that's still the same product, just transposed to other jobs. I've been battling for a long time with my mentor. I have several mentors, and my business-oriented and marketing mentor has always told me, you need what is called a continuity offer. And Alex Hormozi, in his recent book, The Money Models, also talked about the continuity offer. And I've been banging my head for a long time about that continuity offer, because I'm like, I don't want to ask people to pay again after they paid for the mentorship. To me, it needs to be a lifelong solution for people who apply it, of course. And I've been told for a very long time about how can we make this sort of continuity offer that is still congruent with that offer and can be embedded in that offer, if possible, without asking them to pay again. You see the spoiler, it's called the agency. I'm going to talk a bit about that later. But for now, it's anti-DLC. There's no retention of knowledge to sell it later as another product. It's meant to be for all seniority levels. We talked about that. Junior looking for their first job, mid-level progressing, pro aiming for the biggest companies in the world. It's the same method. It's just that the quality of the work is going to change. Normal, it reflects the level of seniority that they have. And technological resistant, we talked about that just before. We want everything to be universal. We want to think in terms of first principle, not 3D gimmicks. I'm against the predatory school model. We don't want to fragment the knowledge. Pay once you have everything. We want the price to remain comparatively a bargain compared to art school. It's not a bargain, but it's comparatively nothing compared to art school. Providing a post-employment formula. So it's in the mentorship, it's not a DLC. And you get all the updates all the time. This way, basically you are set for the ecosystem of the hardness. And it remains financially approachable because the more different things you have, the more you have to scatter your attention across other things and you're going to excel at nothing. The last thing we are building, it's starting just recently, okay? It's the agency. The idea is to work with the best of the best mentees who got jobs to find them the next job, the next gig, and negotiate for them, represent them, find them opportunities. Because now that they are working, they have a price floor that they currently have. And the goal is to utilize that. Let's say they are paid $300 a day. The next studio wants them. First of all, we work for the agency, so we're going to negotiate aggressively for them. So they won't have the pressure to negotiate. We will do it for them. And we are not afraid to fight a bit more aggressively than what on your own you could do. And more importantly, because you are currently working, they have to give you better job or better pay, or preferably both, to justify you moving from one job to the other or taking you after. So that $300 sets a precedent, and maybe the next one will be $350, $400, I don't know. The goal is to protect the mentees and to ensure that even with the little cut that the agency takes, 10% of anything that is brought to them by the agency, if they get a job on their own, the agency is not involved, they take 100%, but everything brought by the agency is going to be 10%. Tax deductible, by the way, which is cool. It's going to count as company expense. The goal for it to work is that even with the 10% we take, they still need to make more money and get better product than on their own. Otherwise, they have no incentive to bringing their clients to us. So it will only work if they know that through us, they get more money. So it's a system where they are not shackled. It's confidence versus confidence. We are trusting each other. And if they get better price, they have that incentive of working with us. If we are unable to get better price, they go solo. That's fine. So it's just that opportunity. The goal is to sign roughly 10 artists. We have 7 for now. We're going to still sign a few more by the end of the year that are the best of the best of the best of the mentees. And the goal will be to sign between 5 to 10 deals by the end of the year for them. If we do that, it proves that it can work, and we can then labelize the students, the best of the best students from the mentorship. We can labelize them. We can put the public criteria of that label online, so studios knows that when they see one of our students that is labelized, they can do this, and deliver this, and this, and they know they can go with them with both eyes closed. So that's the next step. And to me, it seems pretty relevant because it's part of this kind of getting a job support that we could provide for the mentorship. Of course, it's only accessible to those who did the work before, because no agency, no amount of marketing, no amount of recommendation can get someone who did not do the work results. And worse than that, it's going to ripple negatively across the agency and across the artist. So it's a bit of a bonus. It's like if you are very good, if you are diligent, if you showcased the predisposition and you basically did the work that we expected you to do. Once you're ready, let's talk about the agency. It's a trust-based thing. The goal is not to be predatory. We're asking 10% to the person, and we want to ensure that they make more money even with that than on their own. And we're going to ask 10% to studios because we save them a crap ton of time. That's a 2026 goal, exactly. One last thing. Let me show you a little something, a little bonus. Speaking of the agency. Give me a second. This is a little preview for the new website that is going to come very soon. Look at that beautiful website. Hello, Unli. Yeah, this is a grand motivator for the Artnet student, and Unli joined the agency, of course. The website is gonna look nice. It's by the same person who made the logo and the branding already. We just have to implement that. It should be ready by January. It's going to look pretty professional. It was a little surprise at the end. There we go. Those are random pictures. There's going to be the photo of the cats and the team, of course, because now we are a team. I'm not solo anymore in pajamas running the mentorship. I've been running a lot of mentorship sessions in pajamas. That's the little secret. Now we are a team. It's going to become a bigger business. I've said it a lot of time to the mentees and the rest of the team. There's a moment where team will just be the CEO of the Artnest, running the business part, not that much the mentor. It's gonna come at some point, but I want to ensure, just like we did when I started enrolling the secondary mentors to do the feedback, that when it happens, there's no drop in quality, and actually there's an opportunity to increase quality. So what is going to happen when there will be some transition to a new mentor running the course is that we are making sure that the program can be followed by and done by any mentor. And basically at the moment I'm training Axel, or amazing Axel Pommier. I'm going to train him to run the classes. It gets it. And we have been spectating the classes of October, for example, together and commenting on them. And basically now it runs so smooth because people are filtered out properly, because the homework is good, because we have a tremendous amount of flowcharts like this that are explaining every single step of the process. And you just have to start there and follow the arrows. It's going to tell you everything you need to learn. Like this is the homework for session 1. Start here, do this, do this, do this, do this. You arrive there, congrats, you are done. Here is how to present the homework with some example. Here is the portfolio structure. Everything is so standardized and structured that most of the time the session for the 5 weeks, at least for the first 3 weeks, we are just there sitting, listening. The student presents the thing, proves they get it. At the end of their presentation, we have not said a word. We just say, okay, is it clear for you? Yes, it's clear. Okay. Any question? No, it's clear. Okay. Next student. So that it's so standardized that now you barely need me, Tim, the person, to run that. You may need me for the Q&A potentially, but for running the mentorship, just someone who gets the program, who has been there, is enough. And we're going to make sure it works. And what is good is that in addition to the Q&A the session, I'm probably going to do 1 or 2 Q&As in addition. So it's actually bringing more value than just the 10 sessions plus Q&A. Because every session is like checking the homework and Q&A after the break. We're still going to have that. And now that I have more time back, we can do some extra Q&As for you every week, open to everyone. Can be on anything, can be on application, can be on design, can be on negotiation, can be bringing your case by case. And that's how we bring value while building a team. End of the tangent. And yeah, only the agency is a great motivator for the Artnest students. It's like, if you do the homework, congratulations. Normally, if you do the homework, you build your portfolio, you apply everything we said, you get a job. If you get a job, the rich get richer, you get into the agency, or at least we talk about that. If you are interested, of course. Nothing obliges you to do that. But if it works, it gives you more incentive to work. Trojan Horse, we need to talk with you about the agency, by the way, if you are interested. Because I think if we can negotiate, do a pre-interview for you, set a primer that you are a bit blunt, it will probably help you massively on interviews. We've talked about that. I think interviews is your main friction point. It's okay. I think if you can smooth that corner for you, that will be massively helpful. Let's see what we can do. So, if you have some questions, do something like this. Put question in bold letters in the chat right now. And then write your question. I have 12-ish minutes, then I need to go get my cat from the vet. He's going to be a bit miserable. No, don't worry, Elena. Don't worry. But Devil Studency, how often the price of the mentorship rises, and do you offer any payment plans? How often does it rises? Once every 6 months, it's going to stabilize eventually. Right now, the price is 3.4K. I think it's a bit early to increase the price more, even though we have the rookies and all of that, we could. I think the price is going to stabilize around 4K. In 2026, it's going to stabilize around 5K by the end of 2026. And after that, I think it's not going to move anymore. And with the price raise, there's always value raise. More support, more mentors, more content, more problems to be solved. Do I offer any payment plan? Yes, you can pay in up to 3 times normally. We increase that to up to 4 times now. The first payment generally to secure your slot. So before it starts, you unlock the preparatory module. Second payment midway around week 3. Third payment by week 5 to unlock the feedback. And if you have a fourth payment, it's roughly a month after the end of week 5 to keep on going, unlocking the feedback. That's pretty much it. Is my cat all right? Yes. Little Hades got neutered today. So no nuts anymore for little Hades. The problem is that one of his nuts was not in place. For cats, they start growing in the belly before going down. One was in place, the other one was still in the belly. And yeah, no nut November for Hades, unfortunately. Oh my god. It's going to be clipped. And yeah, one of the nuts was in the belly, so it was a bit of a heavier operation than a quick snip. Vega got a quick snip. He was back in track in 2 days. Hades, it's going to be a week with a cone. Expect me to share photos of the cone of shame on Hades. And honestly, knowing his personality and his slightly hyperactive nature, I give 24-hour lifespan to the code. How many mentees are there per sessions? Classes of 7 to 8 max. We might take 2 classes. Generally, we were at like 12 to 14 students, sometimes 15 in the past. I voluntarily reduced in October to 7 students because I had to take a lot of time out of the mentorship to build the agency and to do a lot of legal structuring right now to accommodate for the agency. Yeah, Christina, 24 hours is very optimistic. I will keep you informed about that. I'll keep you informed. You guys, if you look at the pet channel on Discord, and I will put another link in the description. I will edit the video just after for the Discord. But you want to join the Discord, click on the free course, grab the free course, etc. I will keep you informed about the comb of shame lifespan in the pet channel of the Discord. Here we go. So how many mentees? Right now we are around 12 max. If there's a high demand, we may expand to 14. But we want to keep it to 6 or 7 students per class. It should be 2 classes of 6 or 7, because otherwise the sessions are long. We get tired and you get less value in the Q&A. So that's pretty much it. The reason we are also structuring the homework part for it to be smooth, or you just try to present it, we validate, and normally you get exactly to the conclusion we want you to get. It's also to save time, to have more time for you to do Q&A. Any other questions, folks? It's hard to do a map. Yeah, making a map is a bit hard. Thank you, Toby. Thank you. Thanks. Means a lot. Oop. Sorry for the glare behind. Any other question, folks? In the meantime, as you write question, as always, quick shout out for the preparatory module and for the mentorship class. Yeah, it's JJ Abrams Lensley. So 2015. Next class of the mentorship starts on November the 17th. There's normally already 9 students enrolled, so probably 3 slots left. If you're interested, there's the link in the description. I'm going to put it in the chat again. theartnest.academy/portfolio guide right there. Oop. Right there. Regarding the preparatory module, I'm going to release it again. It's going to be made available probably around the Black Friday. So end of the month. I need to see if it's going to be on the same platform as the one from the mentorship, because now that I'm in Andorra, the payment processor called Stripe is not available in Andorra anymore. So I might use a platform called Bonsai and then link it back to the platform. So the purchase might have to be done on Bonsai. It's going to be easier. And I want to do things a bit big for that one. I want to present it as a 4-week challenge for anyone who gets it, where there's going to be a bit of rewards and incentive to do the homework within 4 weeks. So by the end of the year, maybe a bit more, maybe 6 weeks, because we have Christmas and New Eve. And there's going to be rewards for those who do the homework the best. I want to experiment a bit with it. But that's also, okay, one last thing regarding the preparatory module. For anyone making product, making info product, mentorship and such, that preparatory module is also a good way to prime future mentees, potential mentees, to become the ideal profile for the mentorship. Because it's giving you the mindset, it's giving you the philosophy, it's giving you everything you need to level up. And because you got value and you have trust, now you are ready and you know that you're going to get value in the mentorship. So for anyone making info product, that's a little business advice right there. If you have a great product that you can sell for relatively accessible, that is not cannibalizing your main product, that's a fantastic way to tell people, okay, this is the ideal behavior. This is where you start. This is where I want you to arrive so you can go to the next step of the ecosystem. Here we go. So I'm thinking about the incentive. There will be a few lotteries and giveaways, and I want to make a few giveaways at the end of the year for my birthday or something like that, of maybe the videos of the mentorship for a very select few, maybe 3 people, something like this. I will see. I will see, but I want to do a few giveaways and things like that. I want to do things big for the next release of the preparatory module. And I want to implement a few more stuff also in it. It's pretty complete. It's been a while since I had to add something, but I have a few ideas of what to add. Isn't there more affordable pre-recorded session for aspiring artists? So if you want affordable stuff, you have the free course. You have all the lives on YouTube. The free course is down below in the description. The preparatory module, it's, in my opinion, it's still better than an art school. You will learn more in the preparatory module than in a year in an art school. At least in a bad art school. Is there any place to go just for the business part? The business part of art? Nope. Nope. I'm talking about it extensively in the lives, in the mentorship, but I do not want to fragment the mentorship. It's a package. It's meant to be one, and it's meant to remain one. The preparatory module is a chapter 0. It's an introduction. It's separated because it's not covering the same fundamentals. But let's say I was giving week 4 and week 5, which are the business parts, without week 1 and week 2. There will be a lot of things that you will miss to fully grasp it. So it's inseparable, unfortunately. As a 3D artist, pick everything that I said in the live, transpose it to 3D. That's as simple as that. Ask yourself who is the next person in the 3D team grabbing your work, what they're gonna do, make their work and their life easier. Toby, around when can we foreshadow the business book live stream you mentioned earlier? We can potentially do it potentially this weekend or early next week for the next live. It's going to be easy to prepare. It's just that this Friday, I'm heading to Paris. I have a little trip to do during the day. And I do not know if I will be back by Friday evening or by Saturday afternoon. If I'm there by Friday, we can make that live about the books. It's going to be books that have nothing to do with art. Maybe one. Just one about art. Okay, come on, 2. But all the rest is going to be books that are tied to business or other potentially slightly self-help stuff that, in my opinion, are very important for artists. It can be transposed easily. And I would love to talk a bit more about that. And a little disclaimer, as I mentioned previously in the live, I recently did a business podcast. It's going to be in French with a friend of mine in Andorra. And it went so well that we are considering opening an entrepreneur podcast in Andorra because there's none. There's a lot from Dubai, but we don't care. There's no podcast from Andorra. There's a lot of so many interesting people. For example, just to show you an example, the guy I'm building the agency for the Artnest with, he was a former esport agent. Let me show you that person. Fuck. this guy, Cyril Michel, wins. He was the manager of the esports team called Misfits, Overwatch team, aka Florida Mayhem. He signed a lot of the French talents from the Overwatch team. And he's also the brother of Kenny S, the mega big sniper from Counter-Strike. He's been an agent in esports for 13 years. He knows the agency model extremely, extremely well. And the more we talk, the more we realize that managing esport talents, it's the same type of profile as managing artists. And he's so fucking aggressive at business. He's going to negotiate like crazy for the artist. So that's the type of profile I would love to interview, for example, because he's so fucking interesting. He got such an interesting life. And that's a great person overall. You have so many great profiles in Andorra. That's crazy. I would love eventually to make a podcast about Andorra. That would be funny to talk about it, because it's a place that is like no other ones in the world. And it's interesting. It's very interesting for the concentration of talent per kilometer square you have. It's probably unmatched in the world, besides potentially Dubai and Cape Town Cape Town, basically, in the Silicon Valley. Except that in Cape Town, you get 40 stabbings a day. And in Dubai, it's Dubai. It's Dubai. Any of the churros at the supermarket. Exactly. I finally found a good churro store in the capital. Finally, after a year. Anyways, enough rambling. I really hope you enjoyed that live, folks. It's been a very different one than usually. I hope you found it valuable. Talk to you soon, folks. Take care. And to all the mentees and the secondary mentors who made those wonderful, wonderful medals possible, I want to issue the massive, most heartfelt thank you. I'm still not processing the information. And please, everyone, put a little clapping emoji or star emoji in the chat right now to congratulate everyone. Because it's not just my work. I was the architect, but they are the one who made it possible. We got 3 mentees who were amongst the finalists. So that's 10% of the finalists were from the Art Nest, who learned from the Art Nest. We got an incredible ranking while having none of the resources of those art schools. It's kind of funny because back in 2016, when I got kicked out of art school, they told me I had no future, that I would never permit the industry. 9 years later, we are number 5 worldwide. They are number fucking 11. And they have millions of dollars. That's pretty cool. Thank you for watching the live, folks. Take care. I'm going to grab my little kitty cat. I'm going to send you photos of the cone of shame. Bye-bye.